Well, hello, one and all, to another show here on Regen Media TV. I'm Michael DiMartino, one of the hosts of the many shows that are here, along with others, including EV World. And today, our focus and show is Build Back Green. And as great as it sounds, sometimes when we do these build back regenerative projects, building back, it's because of really the tragedy of related to climate change or natural disasters that could be wildfire, flooding. Today, I have the opportunity to speak with our next guest, who's going to talk a little bit about her life, where she lived in the Palisade Bowl, which is a very unique property along Pacific Coast Highway, and just where she is in really this process of being affected by the Palisades fire. So I would like to welcome today Bonnie Canner.
Hi, thank you, Michael. I thought to try to save time here and get as much out as I could, I wrote something down that I'm going to read, if that's okay. On January 7th, 2025, the wildfire destroyed my home. I never got an official evacuation alert. Wait, I even have the wrong page in front of me. I lived in the last house of our community. No one came to knock at my door to tell me to evacuate. The way I found out was through my sister, who called me in a panic. As I was leaving, I saw Monica, the park manager, heading to turn off the main line. I sat in traffic on PCH for about 30 minutes. Once I reached the freeway, I could see the flames. You could see how big the fire was all along the freeway. Inside were my mother's ashes, my childhood videos, antique family heirlooms, expensive jewelry, handwritten recipes, decades of memories that I'll never replace. My home was gone. My past was erased. The fire also destroyed the only inheritance that I had to leave my children. I received less than half of what I needed to rebuild. The amount didn't even cover 1 year rent for replacement, to relocation, for relocation. In addition, the government declared an emergency, and in a government declared emergency, the law says you're supposed to get 2 to 3 times, 2 to 3 years of rent, and in a like kind place. And the rent that I received, it hasn't even covered a year. It's already gone. I had a 3-bedroom, 3-bath home. I'm living in a 2-bedroom, 1.5-bath home now. It's about a third the size of what I used to have. I have no washer and dryer, no dishwasher, no ceiling fans, no air conditioning, it's dark. It's a very dark place, and it's very depressing. It's in a nice location near Santa Monica, and I was very happy and grateful to my friend Doreen for helping me find it. I thought it was best to look while everybody was being put up in hotels. I wanted to find a place more permanent, and I was afraid if everybody started looking at the same time, I wouldn't even be able to find a place to live. However, it's $2,860 a month, which is about $1,000 more than what I receive in Social Security. This has been one of the most stressful, heartbreaking experiences of my life. I never thought that I would lose my home. I barely grabbed anything. I grabbed a pillow and some changes of clothes, casual clothes, to go to my sister's house. And while I was leaving the house, my friend Gigi told me, grab some photos that you won't be able to recover. And I grabbed a couple photos, a thumb drive, and my passport. That's all. That's all I was able to bring. And I left my mom's ashes. I left the videos of my children growing up. I left my old modeling photos, my parents' wedding pictures, um, my mom's and great grandmother's recipes, Grandma Yaya from my ex-husband's, her recipes. I lost so many things, and I the place I'm living in is an apartment building, about 10 units, and I live on the bottom floor. And the person next door to me has COPD, and so I'm constantly hearing him making these funny noises because he's having difficulty breathing, and that can go on anytime, day or night. My neighbors just recently upstairs had COVID. One of them's in the hospital. I pray that they're going to be okay. But with my health, I need to worry about that too. They live like right near me, right above me. Um, it's just been all very challenging. Another very difficult thing was trying to find an attorney. Uh, During COVID, I I got sick with lupus. My son was diagnosed with cancer. We later found out that he had to have his thyroid removed, and that other people that grew up in his community also had the same kind of cancer. And we found out it was something called PCBs. Well, I learned about the government restrictions and how you have to do something within 6 months. So we were told that it was too late, even though we didn't know about it, that it was too late to do anything for my son. So here we are again. I'm in this situation of losing everything. And I'm given that 6 month time period again, trying to find an attorney. And I kept hitting roadblocks because the attorneys, they didn't want to share their retainer agreement where you can go over it with them and understand it. They want you to sign a QR code. And then when you ask questions about what you see in the agreement, they don't want to have anything to do with you. They send you a letter saying they're not going to represent you. So to me, there's a lot of ambulance chasing, inviting you to lunches, to doing all these things. And then when it comes down to it, they're not really there for you. They don't even want to answer a question. It was very stressful. I had to learn how to fill out all the forms myself. And I filed them all myself before I signed with a law firm that actually modified their agreement to be a very fair agreement now, and that was Boyle Law Firm. But prior to signing with Boyle, Kevin Boyle, I filled out all my own forms. And recently I started getting the letters back from the city and the county and the state, all saying that they're not responsible. Um, how they couldn't be responsible when we didn't even have water in the wells, I just don't understand that. Um, since the fire, I haven't been sleeping. I have PTSD. My body hurts all the time. I've been depressed. And the stress is so unbearable sometimes that I even ended up getting gout and I couldn't walk for almost 6 weeks. I had to have my foot elevated. I couldn't even have a sheet touch my foot. It was so painful. They put me on allopurinol and I gained 30 pounds, adds to my depression. Then to try to find a therapist, that was another chore, very difficult to do. There are people that received grants to do therapy, but the most recent therapist told me that she could only give me 6 weeks at a time, so she really couldn't go into what I would really need. So she suggested I find another one. The therapist I had before her told me that they were no longer going to work with my insurance company, so I had to find a new therapist. So that's been really challenging too. Um, Senator Ben Allen created a bill called SB 749, and I was on this site on WhatsApp. It's called Pali and I was watching these people talk about SB 9 and SB 571, trying to stop them. Really terrible bills. And they were all coming together, and it was so inspiring that I created a petition for Senator Ben Allen's bill. It had been 7 months. Pacific Palisades Bowl is still covered in ash and toxic. And I wanted people to be aware of what we're dealing with because they are in a better situation than we are. We didn't own the land. We lease the land. We pay monthly and cover the owner's his taxes, amongst other things. And we own the house. We have invested in our homes. I put my life savings to buy that home. And again, like I said, that was my kids' inheritance. My house, when I bought it in 2016, May 6th, I bought for 410, 412. At any given time after the fire, when I would look up on Zillow or one of those places, it would range anywhere from high eights to 1,120,000, depending on when I looked. I was getting people putting letters in my mailbox all the time asking me to sell my house to them because they were a family and they liked that my house was a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, and that I actually had a yard and a picket fence. My lot was the biggest in the community. Anyway, Senator Ben Allen and Councilman Tracy Parks, in her own way, have both tried to do something to help us. However, there's a loophole in the law that prevents people who live in mobile homes in a disaster to be able to return home unless the owner of the land decides that they want to remain open, or unless they sell it to another company that continues as a mobile home park. Otherwise, he can decide that we lose our equity. Again, my house was at least $1 million and I paid cash for it. I didn't have a loan, so that's all equity. And the day of the fire, I lost that, plus on top of over 700,000 in personal belongings with the antiques and everything else I had in that house. I'm losing track of what I'm saying. So Senator Ben Allen, his bill, all it really does is help us to have the first right of refusal if we can find a nonprofit or if we can somehow get the money together ourselves to buy the land so that we would own the land as well as our home, being able to rebuild our home. But the real problem is it should be just like any other day during the week. So if there wasn't a fire and the owner decided that they no longer wanted to be in that business, they would have to relocate us and they would have to pay us fair market value. But because of that loophole, they don't have to do anything. They get away with saying, nope, I don't want to go back. And we lose everything. Every single person there is now homeless, has nowhere to go, and has lost everything that they've invested. And that's not fair. That's wrong. It shouldn't happen. And that's what I believe Senator Ben Allen should have the bill say rather than just give us a chance to buy it. And anyways, another thing that happened is when I
Bonnie, could you just move to your left a little bit? You're going off camera, please.
how,
Thank you. Thank you.
it's my hand I had to move, not me.
Yeah.
When I created the petition, it was because I was inspired by that Pali Fire WhatsApp group. I thought it would inspire the people in my community to follow suit, to do the same, so that they would get inspired to fight back and that we would do it as a community. Well, it didn't happen that way because one of the gentlemen that lived down the street from me did not like that I created a petition. In fact, he told me to stop it, that he wanted to create his own. and that mine would be diluting his and competitive to his. And I couldn't understand that. I'm like, well, why aren't we just working together on it? I had 90 signatures at that time. He refused, and he started turning the whole community against me, telling everybody that I was doing something to harm the community, saying that I should have gone to him because he volunteered with 2 other people to be our steering committee. We never had a HOA or anything like that. And after the fire, he volunteered just to give us a little bit more organization, but it was never where he was supposed to be the boss of us. And I have been turned away from the community, and it's heartbreaking enough losing everything, but then losing your community too. Um, it's painful beyond words. And one thing I want to say to everyone is that go and videotape your things, everything you own, videotape it. You need to have a record. You have to have a record of everything you have. Take pictures of your receipts. Have a copy of it on Dropbox, on anywhere you can. Give a copy to a friend. It would make life so much easier if you were in a situation like me. I don't have any of those things. I wish I would have known all those things. Also, places like FEMA, they only gave $770. Same thing with I think it was the Red Cross. It's been heartbreaking and very difficult to find real help. I agreed to do the podcast so that other people would understand what's really happening. Not just the fire itself, but everything that's happened since. The mayor, the governor, the owner of the property, all these agencies responsible for cleaning debris and guiding residents, none of them are communicating with us. We are in limbo. We don't know if we're going to be allowed to rebuild. We don't know what's next. We don't know where we're supposed to go. All I know is that at 64 years old, how am I supposed to put enough money together to buy another house? Where am I supposed to go now when Social Security isn't even enough to pay rent with where I am? I'm now having to come out of retirement and try to recreate myself again. And I think that's all I have to say.
So if you could, I wanted to have you touch upon some of the features of what really made Palisade Bowl different than other private residences and the type of housings and the location, because I think it's really relevant not just to you, but also I guess the lack of debris removal and also the oceanic contamination. Can you share a little bit about that, please?
Well, we had about, I'm guessing around 178 homes in our community in the Pacific Palisades Bowls, and probably about another 160 next door at Tahitian Terrace. And Tahitian Terrace has been cleared off, but Pacific Palisade Bowl has not. I heard through the grapevine, I don't know how much is true, but they said that they didn't clear it off because the owner has tried to stop being a mobile home park multiple times and had enough insurance so that they didn't want to clean his place off. So even though they cleared off the other ones, they left ours sitting there. The community,
And that was the Army Corps of Engineers, is that correct?
yes, yeah, yeah. So we're still sitting there with debris, and you can imagine there was talk of a tsunami hitting. Can you imagine the pollution, what it would have done to the homes that are in the area with all that debris, that toxic debris going right into their homes?
Well, that I think, and again, we can go on in the future, but I think with the time I've been to a couple Santa Monica City Council meetings, and every
Mhm.
meeting there's 40 or 50 youth and people from the community that are talking about people that are going out to the beaches and into the water and are getting sick because a lot of the toxins that are going back into the ocean, not even to mention the devastation to marine life.
We're
So
right across the street. right across the street from Will Rogers State Beach. That's where our place was located. There's a crosswalk there that goes right into our community. We have 178 homes of debris.
It's really unfathomable. And not only what you've been going through personally, other members of the community. And then I know typically, I was a journalist after the big Paradise fire that happened up outside of Chico. And, the lack of real proactive leadership to clean things up, of course, the debris removal and then the soil water remediation. But now what's happening with the impact to the ocean. And even though I'm on Santa Monica Promenade today where we're doing the Earthstock Summit and event October 2nd through 5th, but there really is a huge disconnect about how people are being affected here. Actually, right now at the Santa Monica Museum, there's a whole big
It's
video and photo display
Mhm.
acknowledging and kind of a tribute to some of the first responders and victims and the community from the fires. But until people really see what happened or they get affected, it's really hard for them to kind of just disconnect.
No, but you know what? Even people who it did happen to, like my own community, when I posted that petition on our Discord page and on our WhatsApp page to try to get people interested, no, I got maybe 5 signatures. When I brought you to our meeting, look how difficult it was to like wake people up. It's like, how are we supposed to do anything for ourselves if we can't even come together? It's like it was so frustrating. You got maybe a handful of people that were willing to do a video, and you were in front of most of my community.
Well, I think part of that again is natural after something like this, the general trauma. I do want to say I appreciate your time and the people I've met because there is just the reality of the time and space that it takes to just even begin to recuperate and be functional after this level of
It
disaster,
is. It is. And
trauma.
there's another problem too that I don't think I mentioned. I don't remember if I did. Under insurance. My house, I priced it, would cost at least $525,000 for me to rebuild. They only gave me 202. It's like I called them last year. I said, "Wait a second, I priced a deck, and to put in a deck it's 85,000. How could you only give me 202?" And I told them last year I needed it increased, and they never sent somebody. They never increased it. They didn't do anything. And then, of course, I lost my mom and I lost 4 other family members. And the last thing on my mind was my insurance again.
Yeah, I remember you invited me. I attended the Palisades Strong event that was held at the Newmanburg Beach House, right? That's in
Right. That's where I was trying to get people to share their story so we can get it out there so people
right.
will understand what's going on.
Well, I will say, in the age of, we say generation glow and all the screens and people looking and distracted and media and fake news and all the different platforms. I mean, as a journalist myself and media creator and
Mhm.
also event person, it's really easy to see how people can be uh, so disconnected from what's really happening. And not only that, but the idea that how people can be divided because of the influence of media and propaganda and
Oh, yeah.
politicization,
Well,
everything. And then on top of that, just what we call spiritual bypass. Sometimes people just don't want to deal with it, and they
yeah, but there's even worse than that is having someone in your own community make you out to being a bad person for trying to draw awareness to the situation that I'm like bad. I mean, it's like how did that even happen? It's like it's and then Spencer Pratt, he said he would share my video. He would share not my video. He would share our petition. And they lied to him. They told him that it would be bad to do because we were still in communication with the owner, which was not true. And then a week later, they created their petition and they talked him into sharing theirs instead of mine, even though he had already told me he would share mine. So it's been really very, very heart painful, very painful.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate what I saw before. I'm also in Grass Valley where we have several fires that sometimes these disasters bring out the best of people, but sometimes it also brings out the worst, like you were saying. Disaster capitalism, ambulance chase.
Yeah, I know, I know. Instead of working in collaboration, this one person was telling everyone that they should harass me until I turn over my petition and all my signatures to them. And it's like, who does something like that? How do you look yourself in the mirror? Why would I'm in pain just like everybody else that lost their home? Why are you doing this?
Well, I think, that's a very personal thing for each person, but there's definitely like a viral effect that we see prolific, even right now going to the city council when, dozens of people are asking them, why are people getting sick going into the water? Why is there not more cleanup happening? Why is there no soil remediation? And if it happens, I mean, in your case, there's no debris removal.
Yeah,
Why?
why doesn't everybody say something about that? It affects the whole community. It affects anyone who goes to Will Rogers State Beach. Everyone should be screaming to get rid of that debris.
Well, we're hearing effects even as far down as Malibu and Santa Monica, literally cases where people are getting sick going into the ocean and
Yeah.
marine life. And so in the time that we have, I know you have other commitments and we really do appreciate your time. And we're not here to, you know, um, do anything but share this human story and really sad situation that you're in. What are some of the organizations? I know I went to the event of Promenade Strong that you feel are really trying to do something. We also know that, Governor Newsom has this LA 2.0 agenda. We also know that I
All of
could
a sudden,
share
to try to what?
uh, that are
Wait, for
trying to
some
do
reason, I can't hear you.
just organizations or people that are trying to do really positive stuff. I mean, we're doing our effort of Build Back Green Palisade with our team of solutionaries and regenerative people and people who do remediation. But who do you feel is really doing real work on the ground there for the community? Because, like you said, there is a lot of disaster capitalism, whether it's insurance companies or builders. And our whole thing is if you keep building back the way things are, we're just going to keep experiencing a lot of this misfortune. So, the idea of fireproof homes, but of course, starting with cleaning up the debris, cleaning up the soil, the water, not just scraping it with a bulldozer and dumping it out in Calabasas or wherever else they're putting the stuff. But
Oh,
who do you?
I'm sorry. I have to go. It's 4:30. I have another call.
All right, well, we'll do an episode 2. I'd like to find out more about who you feel on the ground is doing really great work.
Okay, I have to go, and I couldn't hear the last 10 minutes probably of your talking. Something happened to the sound.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk soon, Bonnie. Thank you for
Okay,
your time.
bye. Thank you.
Okay.